Dear students, today we shall be talking about the definition, history and development of limnology. Before proceeding, it is my request to you all to like and subscribe my channel. First of all, we shall be focusing on the terminology. This very term limnology is derived from the Greek word limne, which means lake, and logos, which means knowledge. So it means that it is all about the study of the lakes. Limnology is often regarded as the division of ecology or environmental science. It is, however, defined as the study of inland waters. Though the terminology or by etymology, it refers to the study of the lakes, but it is actually the study of inland waters. Now, when we talk about the study of inland waters, that can be running or that can be standing. But most of the times, this very term is used for the fresh waters. But sometimes saline, natural, or the man-made water bodies are also taken into account. These very inland water bodies include, or this limnology, it includes the study of the lakes. It includes the study of the lakes, ponds, rivers, reservoirs, swamps, streams, wetlands, bogs, marshes, or other water bodies. Hence, it is commonly defined as that branch of the science which deals with the biological productivity of inland waters and with all the causal influences which determine it. This definition was proposed by Welch in 1963. Now, what is actually in this very definition? That he tried to define this very branch of the science which deals with the biological productivity of inland waters and with all the causal influences which determined it. Now, here two factors are very important. The first, that is biological productivity, and secondly, the influences. The influences can be different factors. That can be physicochemical factors, that can be biotic factors. When we talk about the biological productivity, as discussed in the definition of the Welch, he said that the biological productivity as used in this very definition, it includes the qualitative features and the quantitative features as well. Both these very features, they are taken into account. Now, when we talk about the inland waters, so this very term inland waters are included all kinds of the waters, whether running or standing water. It can be running or standing water, the fresh or the salt water, the fresh or the salt water, or other physicochemical composition which influence the water bodies and which are wholly or most completely included within the land masses. Secondly, there was the concept of the causal influences. Now, what are these very causal influences which involve? These very causal influences involve various factors. These factors can be the physical factors, chemical factors, biological factors, or meteorological factors, so which determine the character and quantity of the biological production. Now, it is all these very factors, these very causal influences which have a direct or indirect role in the biological productivity. So, according to the definition of the Welch, it is the biological productivity and all those very causal influences which mark an impact. So this very study is all about the biological productivity of the inland water bodies, whether running or standing, fresh or salt water, and their physiochemical composition and all the causal influences which involves various factors, whether physical, chemical, biological or meteorological. Now let us talk about the history of the limnology, that how this limnology as a subject came to the forefront. It was this very term limnology, it was coined by the Francois Alphonse Forel, who established the field with his studies on the Lake Geneva. This very Alfonso Forel has a greater role in coining the term limnology, and he worked on the water of the Lake Geneva. This is one of the famous lakes present. His interest in this very discipline expanded, and in 1922 August Thienemann, this is August Thienemann, a German zoologist, he was a German zoologist, and Einar Neumann, a Swedish botanist, they co-founded the International Society of Limnology. Now, it was the Forel who coined the term, and he exclusively worked on the water of the Lake Geneva, and later on in 1922, August Thienemann and Einar Neumann. Thienemann was a German zoologist, whereas Einar Neumann was the Swedish botanist. They co-founded, they together founded the International Society of Limnology, and it was originally known as Societas Internalis Limnology. And this very Forel's original definition of the limnology and oceanography of the lakes was expanded to encompass the study of all inland water bodies. So it started with the works of the Forel, and then by the foundation of the International Society of the Limnology by the Thienemann and Neumann, this very science came into limelight. This very Forel, that is Francois Alphonse Forel, he unified these very diverse subjects in 1892 in a new science that was called as limnology and defined as the oceanography of the lakes. Earlier, there was a subject known as the oceanography, which was all about the study of the marine environment. But later on, he used this very term limnology as the oceanography of the lakes, that is inland waters. His work placed emphasis on the integrative nature of the limnology, where all specialized subjects are linked and each subject informs the other. He also identified humans as an integral component of the Lake Geneva ecosystem, both in terms of dependence on ecosystem services such as drinking water, fisheries, and the aesthetic benefits of the living that is close to water, as well as in their capacity to do great harm to the lake. So it is the human being which mark an impact on the inland waters in terms of their dependence on the ecosystem services or their role to harm the lake as well. Forel is especially well known for his seminal work on underwater light and water color. So he also worked on the penetrance of the light and the color of the water. Then he also worked on the lake stratification and the surface, that is siege. This very siege is a French word. It is used for centuries at the Lake Geneva. The zoobenthos of the lake and the importance of the organic carbon cycle in linking of all components of the lake ecosystem and its surroundings. So by the time of his death at the age of 71, Francois Forel had produced 288 publications, including 1900-page 3-volume monograph, that is Lee Lemon. It was a monography limnologique, that is of the Lake Geneva. His limnological monograph of the Lake Geneva. And that set the foundation for the limnology. So it was the work of the Forel on the Lake Geneva, on the light penetrance, lake stratification, that is carbon composition. So his work, that too in the form of the publications and the monograph, that led to the foundation of the subject known as the limnology. Then we do have the great another some important works done by other various scientists such as Welch. He in 1935 he conceived the problem of the biological productivity. He, as the central theme of the limnology, he defined limnology as the branch of science which deals with all the causal influences which determine it, as I was talking earlier as well. Then later on, we do have the Schwarbel 1987. This very Schwarbel 1987. According to him, limnology is the science of inland waters viewed as the ecosystems together with their structures, materials, and energy balance. Then later on, this also the work of the Kienelt 1960, he considered as the limnology as a subset of the ecology. According to the Kienelt, this very limnology is a subset of ecology along with the oceanography, which is concerned with the marine ecosystem, and ephemerology, which deals with the terrestrial habitats. So in short, limnology is the study of all aquatic systems, including lakes, wetlands, marshes, bogs, ponds, reservoirs, streams, rivers, etc. With this regard to their physical, chemical, and biological characteristics. In addition to the above, certain other terms like hydrobiology, freshwater biology, aquatic ecology, they are also used sometimes loosely as synonymous to the word ecology. Most of these terms are the names under which a diverse variety of the subject matter is included, and only a part of it is limnological in nature. This is the book by the Limnological Methods, one of the most important books authored by the Welch, and this is the Handbook of the Limnology by Schwarbel. Let us have a concise aspect. Let us know about the concise aspect of the history. This very term limnology was coined by the Francois Alphonse Forel, who established the field with his studies of the Lake Geneva. And secondly, interest in the discipline rapidly expanded in 1922 by the Thienemann, who was a German zoologist, and Einar Neumann, who was a Swedish botanist. They co-founded the International Society of Limnology. Forel's original definition of the limnology, that is the oceanography of lakes. He simply defined limnology as the oceanography of the lakes. It was expanded. This very term was expanded to encompass the study of all inland waters and influenced by the Dubosky's work on the Lake Baikal. Then the prominent among the early limnologists, they also include Evelyn, Hutchinson, and D.V. So Hutchinson also is one of the important, you can say, and the prominent American limnologist, Hutchinson and D.V. So later on at the University of the Wisconsin, Madison, this very Edward Burge, Jude, and Goldman. Burge, Jude, and Goldman, and Hessler. They contributed to the development of the Center for Limnology. So it was the University of the Wisconsin-Madison, wherein Burge, Jude, Goldman, and Hessler, they contributed to the development of the Center for the Limnology. Let us have an idea about the development of the limnology, that how this very limnology progressed. When we talk about its initiative initiative works, or the initial works in the field of limnology could be traced back to the Aristotle, 384-322 BC. which consisted mostly of the strange mixture of the facts and fiction, with little scientific value, followed by observation of certain conspicuous freshwater phenomena. Significant contributions of strictly limnological nature began to appear about 1900 years after Aristotle. That is 1900 years after Aristotle, with the description related to habit, and life history of certain fishes, insects, and aquatic macrophytes. So when these very contribution they begin to come on the limelight, this led to the development of the separate, you can say, branch or a subject which is called as the limnology. But most of these were isolated accumulation of correlated observations, few of which could be used by the modern limnologist mostly for the historical purposes. Then significant contribution or the significant development took place in the field of aquatic biology and limnology with the initiation of the optics. So by the initiation of the optics, it led to, and that too by the Euclid in 2000 BC, and later on the invention of the microscope, there has been significant development because it not only opened the door to the whole world of the microscopic organisms, but also provided with a new and effective means of studying the various higher types of the life in water as well. So after the work of the Aristotle, after 1900 years, with some scattered work, and later on in 2000 BC by the work of the Euclid, and that too with the development of the optics and the invention of the microscope, this very invention opened the door for the whole world of the microscopic organisms which are present in the water by means of studying their types, life in water, their life cycle, and that opened a new era of the studies. And later on the description of the aquatic organisms by Anton van Leeuwenhoek. So with the development of the microscope and the study of the minute aquatic organisms by the Anton van Leeuwenhoek, and the pioneering classification of the macroscopic organisms by the Danish biologist, that is Otto Friedrich Müller in 1786. He published his work as a treatise. His work was named as Infus Animalcules, and the other work, which was published by the Ehrenberg in the form of the Infus Animalcules in 1838. So aquatic organisms by the work of the Anton van Leeuwenhoek, and then work of the and later on Peter Erasmus Müller. He was the Peter Erasmus Müller. He laid the foundation stone for the limnological study. Then one more scientist, that is the Anton Frisch. He could be considered as the pioneer in the lacustrine limnology for his work on the lakes in Bohemian forests. So Müller, Frisch had a greater role in founding this very branch of the science. And then later on Simony in 1850. He is sometimes regarded as the founder of the limnology for the discovery of the thermal stratification. So we all know about the thermal stratification, when the water body gets divided into different stratas on the basis of the temperature. And this very work was done by the F. Simony in 1850, and that is why he is regarded as the founder of the limnology on the basis of the thermal stratification. However, when we talk about practically, Forel, who was there from 1841 to 1912 as a professor in the University of Lucerne, Switzerland, he is considered as the real pioneer, and who opened the gateways for the lake investigations. And he is regarded as the founder and the father of the modern limnology. with 110 publications. He took decisive steps towards forward from the hydrobiology to limnology through his investigations in Lake Geneva, and not only from the biological point of view but also from the physical and the chemical you can say standpoints, thereby formulating the concept of the lake types. So in addition, thereby formulating the concept of the lake types, he also designed first program for the limnological investigations in the freshwater, and its subsequent execution turned out to be the model for the future researchers. Then Forel's work paved way for the establishment of the Limnological Society in 1887 as a component of the Swiss Natural History Society in order to promote the limnological works, and later on International Commission for the Limnology in 1890. So we have to keep these very establishments in mind, that Limnological Society was founded in 1887 and International Commission for the Limnology was established in 1890. So in brief, the history of the limnology could be dated back to 130 years. So 1890, it is to 2021. So it is almost 130 years. So true studies on the relationship of the biota to the freshwater could be treated as initiated from Jung 1885 and Forbes 1897, who were the first to treat the native waters as the microcosm. Although certain preliminary studies has been done on the habits, nutrition, movement, behavior, etc. on certain aquatic organisms by different workers during the 17th and the 18th century. So there are mostly hydrological works and not the limnological ones. So limnology as a subject flourished during the course of the time when this very science was exclusively for the study of the inland water bodies. Then Gardner and Gran 1927, they made pioneering attempts at measuring the photoautotrophic production, that is primary production, by quantitative determination of the oxygen produced by the photosynthesis. And later, the direct measurement of the carbon assimilation in the water bodies was achieved in 1952 by using radiocarbon method by Steeman and Nielsen in 1952. Then later on, the establishment this estimation of the trophic dynamics concept, then that is this very estimation of the trophic dynamics concept having regard to the biomass, material turnover and energy transport along the food chain by Lindemann 1942, not only revolutionized the field of general ecology but also gave a new direction to the limnology. So when we talk about the early freshwater investigations, in 1870, this very Simon, he published a short account of the deep water fauna of the Lake Michigan. Smith and Verrill 1871 made deep water dredging in Lake Superior and published on the invertebrates collected from the Lake Superior. So there it was the first attempt in this regard to publish their work in the form of the invertebrates of the Lake Superior. In 1886, the Alice Lake Laboratory, a privately supported institution and said to be the first freshwater biological station in America, was established in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So this was also one of the important, you can say, breakthrough or step forward in establishing a freshwater biological station in America. The Forbes made a study of certain high lakes of the Rocky Mountains and published only on biological information concerning lakes in the western United States. So the Forbes made a study on the high lakes of the Rocky Mountains and published his work on the biological information about those very lakes. And during these very 1890s or the 1900, freshwater biological stations have been found. Three important of them were the University of Minnesota at Gull Lake, Minnesota, and then the University of Illinois on the Illinois River, 1894, and the University of Indiana at Turkey Lake, Indiana, 1895. So all these very earlier freshwater investigations and their importance led to the development of the subject as the limnology, which was called as the oceanography of the lakes by the Forel, and it was termed as the study of the inland water bodies or the study of the lakes in general. Thank you very much. This was all for today about the history, development, and the earlier investigations about the limnology. Thank you.